Going on then to the big ball, Matt, and Limerick started off their Tailteann Cup campaign at the weekend. They beat Longford 216 to 116 in the two Skellig Crowns, probably a bit close for comfort. They led throughout, in fairness. Once Cahill Downs got a goal, it was a goal to 2 points. They never looked back, never, relinquished that lead, but it was fairly nip and tuck. But you have to remember, Limerick hadn't won a game since January, since they beat Waterford in the McGrath Cup. So first and foremost, for that Limerick group to get a win, get back in a winning momentum, that would have been the key thing to take away from the Gaelic Crowns on Saturday evening.
Sure, Jack. It was massive. Saturday evening was all about winning the football match, no matter how much you won it by. It was all about getting over the line, and they did so. Like, you must remember, first of all, Jack, that they were without the influential Ian Corbett, who to any football team would be a huge loss. But to get over the line like they did, and were it not for a late goal for Longford, the margin would have been more comfortable. And like even when Longford brought it down to 2 points in injury time, like it was still Limerick that finished on the offensive with Tony McCarthy adding a point to make it a 3-point game. But in the context of the Tailteann Cup, it's a huge win, because I think we were reflecting here last week on permutations in the Tailteann Cup, and we were saying that one win should be enough perhaps to take us through to the knockout stage. And like the importance of next Saturday's game in Dr. Cullen Park cannot be understated, because it has been heightened by the fact that Carlow went to Aughrim and beat Wicklow. So it's a straight shootout to be guaranteed to go through to the knockout stages. Because the two losers are meeting, which means that the loser of that game will, for all practical purposes, be out of the competition, and will have no further interest in the Tailteann Cup. So it's a huge game, but it's a fantastic win. And the one thing, we were wondering that in the aftermath of the league, and there was the good performance against Clare, and we were saying to ourselves, is this, just a follow-through from the defeat in the final round of the league and the old enemy Clare and all that sort of stuff? No, it wasn't. To a certain degree, Limerick built on that performance against Clare. So, like, Limerick will be growing in confidence now, and it looks to me like, and I think we said it here last week, that there are very, very strong signs that Limerick are recapturing the form that they showed in the year of promotion from Division 3 to Division 2, which is a very, very good thing. But they cannot underestimate the threat that Carlow will pose. Now, Carlow were 5 points down, going down the home straight against Wicklow, and they kicked the last 6 points. So I think Wicklow probably, maybe to a certain degree, got caught in the hop now. They had met earlier in the championship, and Wicklow had won by 8 points. So that reflected a complete turnaround. But there's also a small bit in it, Jack, as to how teams are actually embracing the competition. And, we were wondering last week, how would Limerick embrace the competition? They're no exception to anybody else. But like we got a very, very, very firm affirmative answer that like it's so pleasing to get first win since January. And it's in terms of the Tailteann Cup, the bit of a change around and the bit of a turnaround in fortunes has come just at the right time. And we had Declan Bruder in here last week, and I thought his analysis of it was very good, Jack, and the whole thing. So, hopefully it's onwards and upwards, and like that qualification, possibly directly for the quarterfinals, maybe put to bed next Saturday.
Yeah, that would be the hope. But I suppose it's important for Limerick to, continue in a winning way against teams that, not that they necessarily expected to beat them, but they're definitely expecting to be challenging and have a good shot at winning, because
Mm.
the growth in Limerick from, I suppose, 2019 to this year, there was a share of championship victories, the Thurles in 2019, and obviously big wins against Waterford, and 2 wins last year were massive. But it's really in the league that we saw the growth of Limerick and the confidence they took from beating teams of a similar ilk and kind of pushed on from them. And that's what the Tailteann Cup provides in a championship scenario. So it's crucial. And you mentioned it, that they don't just rest on their laurels and say, well, that win should be enough for us to, finish third at the least. That they drive on it and show why they were number one seeds, in the draw.
Absolutely, and they drive on and snaffle a quarter final place like that. That's hugely important, Jack. Absolutely hugely important. Let the others fight out in the preliminary quarter final.
Yeah.
Like they've sowed the seeds now of a good run, and they've a good base to play off. And I was listening to people saying, "Oh, sure, look, we're going to beat Carlow anyway." You know, nobody has a right to beat anybody. You have to go out and do it in the day now. Just intersect. Carlow finished third from bottom in Division 4. The only two teams they beat in Division 4 in the league were the two teams below them, London and Waterford. Now, interestingly, they got a draw with Wicklow in the first round. So, like,
Yeah.
obviously, there's a bit of history maybe between those two neighbours. They're very, very close neighbours there in South Leinster. So, I would be taking nothing for granted going to Dr. Cullen Park. It has proved difficult and tricky for us in the past, and I think we've had only. I think the last championship meeting was in 2005. I think, Jack, when Limerick and Carlow met in the qualifiers in Dr. Cullen Park, and we came away with a huge win.
Okay.
But look, Limerick will have to be as good as they were in the last 2 days, and will have to improve. We'll have to go up a notch or two to beat Carlow in Dr. Cullen Park.
And would Carlow's win over Wicklow probably be a good thing for Limerick? That they're wary of them now, that they might have just looked at them as fourth seeds and, as you said, poor league form. Whereas now it'll just refocus their minds that this Carlow team are good, they can get the job done. And to be fair, Limerick have been good against teams like this before, that they've put away teams that have been going in good form, and they've been well able to go away to places. They won there in 2020 en route to winning the league. So that win over Wicklow for Carlow will just refocus the Limerick minds just that small bit, if needed.
Oh, well, the Jenny is out of the bottle now, Jack, and Limerick are on red alert as to the threat of Carlow, because, if they were patting themselves on the back or rubbing their hands and saying, gosh, well, it's job done after Longford, it's not job done. You've to go out and beat Carlow, and you've got to get the job done on the field. And Carlow will be fired up by that victory over Wicklow. That will have done an amount for their confidence. And they have a very wily manager there, the former Kildare player, Niall Carruthers. So, I think it's going to be a tricky game, but I think Limerick will win it, Jack.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I do think Limerick will have enough for Carlow, but it won't be by no means easy. And that's not what Limerick want. Limerick want these tough competitive games against teams in around the same divisions as them. So it'll be an interesting one. It'll be a difficult one, but only be hoping Mark Fitzgerald's side can win. That's 2 wins on the bounce. They'll be safe then, that they can go into the final round and look to, I suppose, secure a quarter-final place at the first time of asking. That's at 3:00 this Saturday. Netwatch Cullen Park in Carlow. Limerick taking on the hosts in the second round of the Tailteann Cup. So the best of luck to them.